story that she has a daughter with developmental disabilities, and she had no place for her to play. So she decided, like all logical people do, to raise $4 million and have a place for her to play. So this is Alenka's big adventure, which has come to fruition, and we're going to be experiencing that today. So we're going to do a quick tour, and then we're going to have everybody sort of get on the ride. So channel your inner child when you do that, and have fun. Alenka, you're on.
A nice introduction. Well, first of all, thank you so much. Welcome. Nice to see many of you I've seen and met before. So I'm thinking for the tour, maybe what we'll do is we'll just maybe take just a few moments right here, and I'll introduce the other members of our team. And then what I might do is I might have everybody join me up at the top of the playhouse, and I'll give you kind of a little more of an overview, and then you guys can, play on anything and everything, because why? Everything and everything is the right size for all of us, which is the whole benefit of it all. But first of all, let me just tell you who else is here for the Magical Bridge group. And as we separate and distribute ourselves around, you can certainly talk to them at any time. This is Jay Gluckman, who is on our Magical Bridge team, as well as Victoria Crane. And okay, so basically, has anybody been to the Magical Bridge here besides, okay, a couple of you guys.
Yeah.
So as Dave was saying, this really came about because of my personal need, but I quickly found out that there are tremendously many people that have been completely overlooked in the playground design. It's so simple, but it is the first place a child feels like they're part of their community, or a parent can take one child perhaps that has a disability and another child that doesn't and go somewhere together with them. So we really make it very clear that the Magical Bridge Playground is not a special needs playground. It is a new kind of community playground, which means that it's built to reflect the many people that live in our communities. It's a super simple concept, but believe me, when we opened this in April, we really thought our work was over. But it wasn't until after the playground opened that we were besieged with communities from literally around the world saying, will you help us build a playground model like this? And the reason, I'll give you more details about the park, but just in a background format, you guys all know about the Americans with Disabilities Act, right? Yes, it was started it was passed in 1990, initially to help a member of our community that uses a wheelchair access a public space, right? So since 1990, what happened is playgrounds started to lose what little innovative qualities they had, and you might look around, and most playgrounds today have resorted to having a lot of this what we call prescribed play and predicted play with the ramps. I call them the ramps and clamps, right? So you see a lot of the ramping systems, and everything is connected together, right? The plastic slides. So those kinds of play spaces are very, very challenging for a child that has autism, because it's too much intense kind of movement and activity all in one space. It's also impossible for a child that perhaps is visually impaired, because why? They don't know what's coming and when are they going to hit their head and what's right in front of them, right? So unfortunately, the way that the good intentions of the ADA as it comes to the playground model has not been terribly inclusive of the many kids and children that live in the community, including people with autism, right? 1 in 45 kids now has autism. They play differently, and most playgrounds are not welcoming to them just because they have not been designed with their unique needs in mind. So what we tried to do with this space is, because we could build it, it was privately raised money, we really did a tremendous amount of research and figured out what the play needs were of the various different kinds of people with different abilities. But we wanted, it was really important that,
It's okay.
It was really important that it was not, an obviously designed park for people with disabilities. So we really made it so that it was going to be the best park around, where all kids, all families could come and play. And so, you know, luckily, I guess it turned out that way. So this park is always very busy. And you come here, you expect, you know, many different kinds of people to be here. It could be adults with disabilities can swing, and nobody's going to think twice about whether they fit in or not. Or typical, regular, not regular, you know, everybody's welcome. And so we feel like when you design for everybody, nobody stands out. And that's really the whole premise behind Magical Bridge. And that's why what I just so admire about what Dave does with this class is it sort of creates this mindfulness about design, and just the mindfulness, it's not really rocket science, it's really just mindful design. You know, when you go into a playground and you see the sand or you see the little bevel, well, yeah, if you're using a wheelchair or a walker, of course you're not going to be able to get over there, right? It's just simple design elements. And so that's kind of in a nutshell the beginning, and I'll take you to the top. Do you guys have any specific questions? So when I take you to the top, and then Jay is going to put a bit of a technical layer of information over what we share with you, maybe up at the very top. So those that are interested will want to listen into that part of it, and then I'll invite you up to the Playhouse. And for those that miss this kind of entrance, you know, I was telling someone, this is a bicycle fair that people do come between, you know, one part of town to the other. And we wanted it to have a reminder that you're entering a different kind of a playground. So we have an artist out of San Francisco that created what's called stepping sound. So as you pass through this entry plaza, you hear the sound of walking through leaves or walking through snow or ice. So it sort of just, you know, tells you you're coming into a magical spot.
If I could just chime in about
Sure.
one magical thing about the playground
yes.
with that. So the people that did the grading and the concrete work did an amazing job. So it's, I mean, it's kind of after a rainstorm, and you don't see any puddles here. The only puddle that they left with the grading is actually right in front of Stepping Sounds. It's evaporated at this point, but sometimes there'll be a puddle there. And so one thing magical about the park is kids will be splashing in the one puddle in the park, and it'll have its own sound effects. So as far as technologically how it works, they actually use X-band type sensor, microwave sensor, and they actually, that goes into an Arduino, and the signal gets filtered, which goes into a synthesizer, and they've got various sounds. It could be splashing sounds, leaf sounds, sometimes it sounds like clown shoes, and it's a pretty magical feature for people to enter the park.
Thanks. Great. That's good to know. I didn't know that though. All right. Shall we thank you guys for what you can go through? We're gonna passing through. All right. Shall we? We'll travel up to the Playhouse, and we'll just give you a few little tidbits up there, and then
Yeah.
welcome you for the tour. Thank you. You got me on a
Yeah.
video here.
Big class this year.
Have you been to the park since it opened?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
you
were
have?
we were here with that
Oh, for
the
the
mayor.
Oh, the mayor, that's right. And then, Jay, I want you to mention, you can come up and meet us about the laser park. You got all the details of the laser park.
We misread which tennis court you said in the park, so we were very confused for a brief period of time.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're unconfused. Sorry about
You know,
that.
when we came to
That's it.
last time, there were quite a few wheelchair users, and today, like Fernanda was here.
Oh.
Remember her from the Wheel Company?
Sure.
What happened to her?
She's still around. She was in my class on Tuesday
Oh, she was.
demonstrating
She probably
an exoskeleton.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What
so-
is that? You guys, let's go inside the Playhouse. Kind of look at you like, you know, everybody's so excited.
Hello.
Hey, what?
Sorry about the confusion of where to
no
meet.
worries. We ended up leaving from a different space.
Okay.
So that was definitely.
How many college students?
Oh, that blue slide is new, I think.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
That looks like you can definitely get some
You gotta
speed on.
get on the second blue slide. It has rollers on it. It's
Oh my
really
gosh,
cool.
look at the swing.
Park. I don't know if you guys can all cram in here, but we'll be just a moment. Well, actually, I thought we could have a good bird's eye view, but maybe that's not the right place. But you know, generally, this playhouse was built by somebody very well known. Her name is Barbara Butler, and she has designed over, 700 playhouses, tree houses all over the world. And she's in South San Francisco. This is the first one that she has done that is accessible to a wheelchair. So she was very embarrassed about that fact, but delighted to have done it here. And so, you know, we just have had a lot of families say that this is the first time that they can interact with their kids. I mean, there are parents that use wheelchairs. There are children, of course, that are in a family where all kids have different abilities. And so for the first time, everybody feels like they can go where everybody else is going. And that's really the premise of the playground in general. So yeah, this has to get kind of sanded. So we have, what I was going to show you is that the playground is divided into 7 different play zones. When we were doing the research, it was made known to us that one of the things specifically for different able children, somebody perhaps that has autism likes the predictability of knowing where everything is. I enter the park, I go left, there's the spinning experience. I go right, there's the swinging experience. And also, I'm speaking specifically to those children with autism right now that are completely not factored in any park design. There's not a single playground that thinks about autistic children when designing a playground. And because there's so many of them, we feel like that has to change. But basically, that is part of it. Also, a child with autism gets overstimulated in a lot of parks because of the compression of activities. And so they don't want to leave, but they want a place to retreat and just kind of gather themselves and go somewhere. So we have around the play areas what we call retreat zones. Some are a little more obvious, like those blue bubbles you'll see around. That is the only piece of equipment that you can buy on the market today that is specifically designed to be a retreat area. So I'm going to say this to you because you're all at the beginning of your careers, but if anybody's looking to, you know, create themselves a wonderful niche in the market space, there are very few pieces of play equipment that is manufactured, designed in the United States that is appropriate for real inclusive play. Most of the stuff that we bought is from Europe, and you can tell which is from Europe and which is from the U.S. Okay, the U.S. stuff is clunky and plastic, so if you look out, who can point to one thing right now that they're looking at that is probably a U.S. manufactured piece of play equipment? Look at the slide area. Which one do you think is made here?
The curvy blue slide.
The curvy blue slide. Okay, what other piece of equipment do you think is a U.S. manufactured piece of equipment? I hate to say it, but that's... The colored chairs, the Adirondack chairs? No, those are actually just regular wood chairs. The seesaw? Yes, the seesaw. Okay, so when you guys step out, that seesaw is also the other, like when you go to, a catalog for play equipment, and you always go to the very back where it says accessible equipment, right? Because God forbid you design a park for everybody. You know, you just have to have 1 or 2 things that are accessible, and you'll either find that seesaw where that's available and the retreat hut. So my point is, I think that we can do better. We can really create a place that is beautiful, fun for everybody. It doesn't have to be an accessible park. It can be a community park that is for everybody in your community. So by creating the different experiences, we've done that, and this park is always busy. It's full of, mostly typical families and their children. But if you are that family like ours, my daughter is my height, and she plays probably like a 1-year-old. Any other park, she towers over all the other kids. Here, you don't look twice because everything is sized appropriately, right? So, kind of in closing, when we almost opened the park, I had a phone call from a mom who said, I live in Menlo Park. I have a 30-year-old son, and he is developmentally about a 5-year-old, and I have to take him late at night to my local park to swing him because he really benefits from the movement of the swing. I can't go during the day because people ask me a lot of questions and I get uncomfortable stares. Can I bring him to your park? And I said, absolutely, right? So 10% of people with disabilities are wheelchair users. The rest have different things that they're experiencing. So the point is, ADA law is the one that mandates the way playgrounds are built today, but unfortunately it hasn't been updated enough to reflect the many different people that are in our communities. So we are now helping other communities sort of create some more mindfully designed playhouses, playgrounds. And if you'll just follow me out this way, and I'll have Jay, so you can make your way around the park. The last thing I'm going to show you, I'm going to have Jay tell you, we've got this wonderful laser harp here that he'll tell you a little bit more about that. Yes, we'll walk over to the bridge area, and then as we sort of separate, feel free to chat with any of us casually or however you like. Hey, where are you going?
Do you want to tell a little bit about the two cows?
Fun to see all the little kids.
Welcome to Silicon
Oh, maybe I will have one. Thank you. Something's So we have the two paths. Actually, this bridge was just because of the rains. It got very hard. Normally, it would expand a little bit, so it's not moving at all. But it is kind of a movable bridge, and then this is the flat bridge. You have one of each. And then, of course, we have all the slides, but everybody likes to go down. We're here. It's not held up this way. We have to put a thing. And then the last thing I'll mention before we go on each of the play areas, you'll see there's the pilasters, and we made a point to sort of talk about what makes each zone more than just fun. There's actually some beneficial elements to the swinging, to the swaying, to the spinning, right? And so for typical children, these are experiences that they get in their everyday lives, right? I mean, they're horse playing, they're spinning around. But if you are that child early on and you're not able to do that, you're missing that full developmental experience that is so important. And it's a shame that a playground, which is where kids do get a lot of that, is not mindfully designed for all of the different kinds of kids, which is where there needs to be a little bit more advocacy work around that, because that is, a lot of kids do make some huge strides by having those experiences available to them. So those pilasters explain a little bit more about that. And on that note, we're going to cross over. There's the laser harp, and Jay is going to share with you a little bit about that. And then you're welcome to move around at your leisure.
Yep.
Run around, because it's fun.
Ooh, comfy material.
Has the bridge to bring it down.
Wait, this is funny. You got,
No, go
everybody's
ahead.
got to try
Yep.
this. No, I mean, not now.
So you have to go down the slide to get down there, right?
I'm being an instructor now.
And then he goes off duty.
Go ahead.
I just want to demonstrate the laser harp. Or you can try it.
That's the speaker.
So I'm like, this is the pattern.
Okay, so this is our so-called 24-string laser harp.
It changes noises.
It was made by Jen Lewin Studio. They designed it and assembled it in-house. The only part that they didn't work on themselves, they had another studio fabricate the arch for them. So it was done by a company that does large-scale structures. The sensors for it are custom designs, and they all
That's okay. That's okay.
they all route to a box there, which is the main sort of brains of the device. Let's see what I want to say about it. So, how many people are here familiar with the MIDI, musical instrument digital interface? Probably a lot of you.
Yeah.
So it's basically a MIDI system. These sensors trigger the harp controller, which then has a USB that just goes to like a off-the-shelf synthesizer, and there's an amplifier. What I think is very cool, we initially there were some bugs with it, like the sounds would stay on but they wouldn't go off. But they actually have a wireless cellular router system, and so they were able to fix the software so the note off problem went away, and we haven't seen that problem for many months. But they can update the software remotely, and I think it's just brilliant. One thing that's cool, so the scale of it is like a 5-note pentatonic scale, which is very harmonious. So you could have like many people triggering the. Really, Lucas?
Yes. Over there.
Cool. I'll go see it with you in a second, okay? So yeah, so many people could be playing on it at once, and it still sounds harmonious. And what I also think is brilliant, so these sensors apparently are able to detect very accurately being triggered from 100 feet. And I think on opening day there was a visitor who was. I'll finish up in 1 second. Who is quadriplegic, had very limited mobility, just was able to move his hands, and he was able to trigger it and enjoy it. So I think it's a brilliant, accessible design. So that's what I want to say about the laser harp.
Yeah. So in closing, I guess you told him about the harp. Just one other thing about the harp. We had a mom here once, and she was just telling us that she has a son with autism, and he said a lot of times when they listen to the radio, the words get overstimulating for him, and so when she has to take him out of a store or something, she'll put him in the car, and she says, we listen to music that sounds just like this. She says, so when we're at this park and we hear this in the background, it's really very calming for him. We can change this. It could be words. It could be the rustling of leaves. Like remotely, Jen does a lot of stuff with Burning Man. I don't know if you guys know Burning Man. She's been doing it for 30 years. So this harp is very bulletproof. I mean, she puts them into, you know, the harshest of climates and the warmest of climates.
Each of the cans is all waterproof and they're modular, so they can be changed out. The wiring harness is like UL approved. That enclosure is bulletproof and air conditioned. Yeah.
And just, you know, and these things we inserted at the end, like after the park was installed, because why? The little kids were not seeing this as well, so we thought if we put little, you know, dots that they would come kind of and play back and forth. But a lot of people think that if you step on it, it correlates with the lasers, but it's really the direct line of laser stuff. Okay, do you guys have any questions? I could keep going, we could keep talking to you, but that may not be so interesting. We have adult equipment for, you know, people that just want to hop on and enjoy their kids playing, or some of our older adults.
There's just one more playground feature that I'll just mention. We won't go over there, but you can check it out for yourself. So way over on the far side, there's a ground level spinner, and what's brilliant about it is it's designed so that two people in wheelchairs can transfer onto it. It's got rails that come down to keep them safe, and they can spin along with more able-bodied visitors. And but I don't know. These kind of spinners, when I remember them from my childhood, like they could go as fast as possible. There was like no speed limit, and you'd fly off, which of course wouldn't be appropriate for some of our visitors with disabilities. So that one actually has a chain drive down below in the mechanism, and basically the principle of an engine governor. And so it'll go to a certain speed, which is fun, but not too fun, so that it would be dangerous. So I invite you to check that out. And also that piece was made in Germany, right?
Right. So that piece is $50,000 out of Germany. So
yeah, and so you can kind of
company, equipment.
Yeah, you know, I invite you to you can try the Sway Fund, which is kind of the more made in America version of stuff that's accessible versus like some of the stuff that has German engineering, and it's just interesting to compare it. So.
Okay, so at this point, if anybody, if there's no questions, I want everybody to check out the equipment. Please read the signage so you know what you're doing, and think about how you would access the stuff if you were disabled. So, if you have a question, come back and talk to Olenka or Jay.
Thank you.
So, get playing!
Thank you guys. Thank you, Jay, for getting all that.
This is the one. This is my favorite one.
No, you haven't tried the other ones yet.
Sure. Happy.
We love
Yeah.